A new dad was racing down a deserted road in his car to see his newborn baby. The man's celebratory moment takes an unexpected turn when a little boy running after a ball jumps in front of the speeding car. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video with your friends. Oh my God! What? You can't be serious. I'm on my way. Officer Danny was in the middle of an important investigation when he received a call that sent his heart racing. He jumped into his car and sped down the empty bypass cutting through the countryside. The deserted road stretched out before him like an endless ribbon, winding through golden wheat fields and green pastures dotted with grazing cows. It was the kind of place where time seemed to stand still. Come on, I can't be late," he nervously muttered, gripping the steering as the wind whipped through the open windows. The car tore through the countryside at full throttle, leaving behind a trail of dust in its wake. And just as Danny turned around the sharp bend, a little boy chasing a ball jumped in front of his speeding vehicle. "Oh, shit!" Danny exclaimed in alarm, slamming the brakes as his eyes bulged in horror. The tires screeched on the road, coming to a roaring halt. "Mommy!" Danny heard a shriek followed by a heavy thud. A grave silence engulfed him, and his heart started pounding in his chest as he saw the ball rolling across the road. Danny unfastened his seatbelt and quickly bolted out of his car to see if the boy was all right. The tremble of his legs slowed down. Their kicks in the air grew labored and abruptly stopped. Oh my God, what have I done? Jesus Christ!" His hands went up to his mouth. Panic welled up inside Danny as he trembled toward the little boy's motionless body. He couldn't blink. Sweat ran down his spine as he knelt beside the unconscious little one. "Oh no, don't. Hey, get up. Come on, kid, get up. God, please be okay. Hey, get up." Danny patted the boy on his cheeks multiple times, but there was no movement. He then checked for the pulse. The blood drained from Danny's face as he rose in horror, letting go of the boy's limp hand. "Oh God, no, this can't be happening," he shuddered, withdrawing his shaky legs back from the dead boy. Danny kicked the car tire hard, walking around in circles, holding his head. "I should have slowed down. It's all cause of me," he muttered, unsure of what to do, and pulled out his cell phone from his pocket. I'll call the paramedics and the cops." Danny's hands trembled as he dialed 911. "No, I can't do this. He's dead," Danny whispered. "They'll never believe it was an accident." Danny cut the call before it could connect and looked around, slipping the phone back into his pant pocket. "Oh God, what am I going to do now? My career is over. Everything is finished. Why did I even take this route? Christ, please help me." Danny scanned the area as far as he could see, searching for any sign of surveillance cameras or eyewitnesses, but the coast was clear. Thank goodness no one witnessed this. "I have to do something before somebody finds out," he mumbled under his breath, unable to think fast. Danny knew he couldn't just leave the boy's body there. "I'll have to move him immediately." He approached the boy, somewhere no one will ever find him. Danny's heart raced as he scooped the dead boy in his arms. "I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'm sorry," he whispered as he carried the boy towards his car. He nervously glanced around, making sure no one was watching, and opened the car trunk. Just as Danny gently laid the boy's body inside, his muscles tensed and he froze in his tracks. "Oh my God, what did you do to my son?" "Whoa, who are you? Stop. Where are you taking him, officer?" A woman's shattering scream startled Danny from behind. With a heavy thud, he shut the trunk and slowly turned around, his hands trembling as he faced the mother of the boy he hit with his car. "You killed my son?" The woman stumbled back. Danny's crimson-stained hands made her heart pound. "Charlie, oh God, my baby, Charlie," she whispered, the words barely audible through her sobs. "Help, somebody, please help." Her shrieks echoed through the tall spruce trees as she frantically ran around, shouting for help while fidgeting with her phone to call the cops. Beads of sweat drizzled down Danny's forehead as the situation spiraled out of control. He rummaged through his car, searching for something, anything that could help him silence the woman. And then he saw it, his gun, lying in the glove box. Without further thought, Danny grabbed it, his shaky fingers closing around the cold metal as he crept behind the woman. In a swift, sudden motion, Danny raised his hand and struck the lady on the head. Suddenly, it all went black, and she collapsed face down with a heavy thud. "Christ, what am I doing? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," he murmured. "I have to hide them somewhere and clear this place before somebody sees me." Danny dragged the unconscious woman to his car and lifted her into the backseat. He slammed the doors shut, his eyes darting around in fear to make sure no one had watched what he'd just done. He hopped onto the driver's seat, and while turning the ignition key on, Danny broke down at seeing the dried stains of red on his hands. "No, I can't go to jail. I can't let anyone find them," he whispered, pressing down on the gas pedal as fast as he could. Danny's mind thumped with each passing second. He wandered around the woods in his car, drenched in sweat, as he anxiously searched for a secluded place to bury his dark secret, far from the prying eyes of the public and the law. Time was ticking away, and Danny's mind was consumed by fear. The persistent ringing of his phone was a constant distraction, but he was too agitated to answer it. Danny knew he had to settle this before anyone found out what he'd done. "That's it. I know where to hide them," he cried out. Danny took a diversion and sped up to his old farmhouse, a deserted shack in a remote area nearby, concealed in the tranquility of dense trees and a barren family farm nobody had visited in years. An hour passed after what seemed like an eternity as the woman slowly opened her eyes and blinked, holding her aching head, trying hard to recall everything. But all she could remember was the sight of her dead son being carried by a cop and loaded into the car trunk. Darkness engulfed her, and the silhouette of a man sitting before her was menacing. Where am I? What is this place?" The boy's mother rose, tried to escape, only to feel a sharp tug on her wrist. It was then she realized she had been handcuffed and chained to a wall. Everything was sealed. Not a crack of light could seep into the dark cellar, and not a voice could be heard beyond the four walls. "Where am I? Who are you?" she shrieked. "Let me out. Just let me out. Don't come near me." Danny turned on the battery-powered LED light as he approached Rose, rolling up the sleeve of his left arm, his eyes bloodshot and swollen from tears. "Don't scream," he said in a low, husky voice. "About that? I'm sorry I put you through this. I had no choice. I didn't mean to hurt you or your son. Please believe me, it was an accident." "You? Why did you bring me here? Where's my son? I saw you putting him in your car. What did you do to him?" "There's no point in screaming. There's no one around for miles. No one can hear you. I can't risk you running away and informing the cops. Just hear me out. Don't scream. Hush. What do you want? Let me go. Let me out of here." Fear set in the woman's eyes as Danny's grim voice echoed, "You're not leaving this place. My second baby was born today. I was in a hurry to see my wife and newborn baby," he added with a pleading voice. "Look, 'twas not my fault. Your son ran out of nowhere and fell in front of my car." "What? You could have called the ambulance and saved his life, but you killed him in your rush to see your baby. You just let him die. How could you? You heartless monster. You destroyed the only light of my life. I wanted to help. Trust me, I did. But your son had already died, and there was no point in calling the ambulance. You murderer, get away from me. You murderer, Rose cried, snatching her arms away as Danny approached her. What kind of sick person are you? Are you going to kill me too? Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do, Danny said, his voice choked up with tears. I'm sorry for what I did, but I can't let this destroy my life. I can't let you go. You think you can get away from all this? Rose spat. My family needs me. My oldest son can't walk. I'm trying my best to bring him out of his wheelchair. I'm to be there for my kids. I don't deserve to go to prison. I'm sorry for your loss, but I can't risk my life by letting you go. I can't do that. Where's my son? What did you do with his body? He's not far away, Danny said, painfully looking down at his muddy hands. Suddenly, his phone let out a loud ring, breaking the eerie silence. It was a call from the hospital, and Danny's fingers trembled as he answered, "Really? Jesus, are they both fine? I'm on my way." Danny's happiest moment arrived when he was in despair, utterly shattered and devastated. He bolted out of the cellar, grimly staring at Rose. He locked the farmhouse and sped past the secluded area to the hospital. A few days passed. Danny's wife Samantha moved back home from the hospital with their newborn baby boy Arlo. Everything seemed at peace after that, except for the haunting fear in Danny's eyes. He was torn between his duty, family, and the dark secret he was hiding. "Morning, hun. Made your favorite pancakes for breakfast?" Samantha smiled as Danny shuffled towards his chair. He was lost in deep thought and ignored Samantha as she eyed him with concern. "Dan, everything okay?" "No, I mean, yeah, I'm fine, nothing, was just thinking about a case." Danny's heart swelled with joy as he watched baby Arlo babble and coo in the crib. His baby's innocent sounds also reminded him of the little boy he'd accidentally killed, and his smile quickly faded. "I'm glad everything's back to normal now." Samantha broke his silence as she buttered the toast. "Last year was a nightmare." "But honey, doctors said Tim can slowly start walking after the surgery, didn't they?" Danny's mother-in-law interrupted. "Yes, Mom, but the surgery is really expensive. With the baby on board now, I think the expenses will be on the rise. But Dan will manage. I'm sure he will, won't you, hun? And I was wondering if we could go on a little trip this weekend." Danny's mind was still clouded with the thoughts of the accident when Samantha suddenly proposed a weekend outing to the farmhouse with the kids. "The farmhouse?" he gasped, rising to his feet, terrified. "Yeah, it's been a while since we last went there. I think that place needs a bit of cleaning, but we can take care of it." "No, you're not going to the farmhouse." Danny was so nervous but kept calm, his voice still shaking. "Why not?" "'Cause wild animals are on the loose in the woods near the farmhouse. I don't think it's safe to hang around there with the kids, and you need to rest. You're just back from the hospital." "Oh, come on, Dan. We've been there once when Tim was little. We had a lot of fun, remember? And the farmhouse is not exactly in the woods. It's near the woods, so don't worry. I've decided to go there, and that's it." I said no more arguments. This discussion stops right here. "Dan, you're taking it too far, okay? I want to go there. What's the big deal?" A sense of panic crawled up Danny's gut, leaving him unsettled. "Sam, I'm planning a surprise for you." Danny abruptly lied. "And let me tell you what, you take the kids there this weekend, and you're gonna regret ruining that surprise." Samantha shrugged. "Fine, but we're going there the next weekend. No changes, and no excuses. I don't have much time left." Danny mumbled under his breath as he quickly grabbed his car keys from the table. "Dan, it's your day off. Where are you going?" Samantha went after him. An urgent call from the station. I need to go." Danny said no more and stormed out, not wanting to answer any more questions, and sped past the gate in his car. Samantha brushed it off initially, but her worry only grew as the day wore on, and Danny's phone was unreachable. Still no service, she worried. "Hell, Dan, why aren't you picking up my call?" Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that something was off when her husband didn't return her calls or reply to any of her texts. As the night closed in, an uneasy feeling settled in the pit of Samantha's stomach. She called one of Danny's friends in the department and learned he hadn't reported to the station at all that day. "Mom, I need to go to the farmhouse," she told her mother. "Dan's not answering my calls. He's not in the station. I'm really worried." "To the farmhouse? But why, dear?" "Danny said he was preparing a surprise for you. Maybe he's just caught up with something. Your husband is a cop. You shouldn't be worried," Samantha's mother, Doris, said. "I don't know, Mom, but something doesn't feel right. I can't just sit here waiting for him. He's not called back, and it's getting late," said Samantha as she grabbed her car keys. "All right," Doris nodded. "I'll stay here with the kids, but be careful, dear, and don't drive fast." Samantha hugged her mother and kissed baby Arlo before getting into her old Mustang. The drive to the farm was grave and unsettling. Samantha's worry grew intense with each passing mile on the deserted route. surrounded by dense woods on either side. "Almost there," she muttered, approaching the secluded farmhouse. Samantha couldn't see anything out of the ordinary except for a sliver of dim light seeping through the crack of the wooden doors. "I knew he was here," she exclaimed, her eyes scanning the area with excitement as she pulled over near the farmhouse. The screeching engine shattered the silence of the night, and Danny's heart raced. He had been digging a large grave for what seemed like hours, his hands covered in dirt and sweat. A car? He grew nervous as he peeked through the thickets. Danny's eyes bulged in fright at the sight of Samantha's Mustang parked outside the farmhouse. The hair on the back of his neck stood on end when he saw the wooden door of the farmhouse ajar. Fear seized Danny. His hands trembled as he flung the shovel aside and bolted toward the ranch house as fast as his legs could carry him. "Oh God, what is Sam doing here? I hope she doesn't find her." Danny's heart throbbed faster and faster with every heavy step he took. As Samantha stepped into the dim-lit and quiet farmhouse, her eyes scanned the shadows for any sign of movement that Danny might be there. The air was thick with the musty smell of old, rotting wood, and the only sound was the creak of the floorboards. "Dan, babe, you in here?" She called out, her voice bouncing off the wooden walls. "Dan, come on out now. I know you're in here. Help me." "Help? I'm in here. Help me." Samantha's heart leaped into her throat when she heard a woman's cries for help coming from beneath her feet. She kneeled and pressed her ears against the floorboard, trying to locate the source of the distressing cries. "Help me. Please, I'm in here." Samantha heard the voice again. Oh my God! Her eyes widened. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Is someone trapped down there? Her mind raced as she looked around for something to break the cellar door lock. Samantha grabbed an axe from the table nearby. With all her might, she broke the rusty lock and raced down the cellar's creaky stairs. The clinking of the chains filled the silence of the basement as Samantha stepped down. The stench of stagnant water and dead rats wafting out from the dark room assaulted her senses. "Anyone there? Hello?" She took out her phone and turned the flashlight on. "Over here? Please help me," Rose cried in the corner. "Please, before he comes, take me out of here. Help me." "Oh my God! Whoa, who are you? How did you?" "Don't panic. Hold on. I'll just be back." Samantha ran upstairs and returned with the axe. She broke the shackles and freed the woman. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" Samantha gasped, unable to understand what was going on. "My name is Rose. H.A.A. He killed my son. He's gonna kill me too." "Who? A cop? He's gonna kill me. Please help me. Take me out of here before he comes." "A cop?" Samantha couldn't make sense of anything. Just as she ushered Rose out of the farmhouse and of her car, Danny appeared from behind the wall, panting heavily like a wild beast. "Dan?" Samantha's mouth split wide open. "It's him. Help me. He's going to kill me." Rose shrieked, withdrawing behind Samantha and clutching her hand tight. "Dawn? Oh my God. What the hell's going on?" Samantha demanded. "Who is she? Why was she locked up in the cellar? What does she mean by you're gonna kill her?" Danny's jaw tightened. "Whoa, easy, Sam. It's not what you think. Shoo, she's a criminal, and I was gonna turn her in." "No, he's lying," Rose blurted out. "He hit my son with his car and killed him 5 days ago. He charged at me and knocked me down. And when I woke up, I was here, tied up in the basement." Samantha was beyond horrified. "Get in the car," she told Rose. "Dan, what the hell's all this? How could you?" "Sam, please, listen. I can explain. I was driving to see our baby in the hospital that day. This little boy, her son, he suddenly jumped in front of the car and—" "Stay right there. Don't come near me." Samantha gestured as she opened her car door and hopped in. I didn't mean to, Sam. Listen to me," Danny begged. "It was an accident. Please, I would never do it. I was afraid. I trusted you, Dan. It's over between us. Never come near my family again," Samantha cried as she drove away, leaving Danny behind in a cloud of dust and tears. He dropped to his knees, slapping him hard several times. "I lost them. I lost my family." He broke down into sobs, looking up at the starry sky. Danny's mind swirled with regret and guilt. He couldn't shake the feeling of losing everything he had ever lived for, that the beautiful life he had built had crumbled like a sandcastle in the tide. Danny snapped his tears as he forced himself to stand up. He took a deep breath and rubbed his hands together before pulling out his phone from his denim pocket. His soiled fingers trembled as he rang 911. "I want to confess to a crime," he said, heading to the spot where he buried Charlie.